بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب يسر ولا تؤسر وتمم بالخير. As we know that this lesson is about the feminine, and we have learned in this lesson how do we make feminine from masculine. So if a noun is al-muzakkar, if it is masculine, how can we change it into feminine? And we have learned that simply we put atta al-marbuta in the end, the rounded or the connected ta, basically ta, and what we do after that, before that we put a fatha, as we can see over here. So there are two things that we need to do if we want to change a masculine noun into feminine. What do we have to do? We have to add ta marbuta, and then before that we have to put fatha. So mudarrisun is teacher and mudarrisatun is female teacher. Similarly, talibun student and talibatun female student. Walidun father and walidatun mother. Ghazalun ghazal and ghazalatun is female ghazal, and then we have kabirun and kabiratun. Now let's do the exercise on the same pattern over here. Iqra, and then when we connect it, we say Iqra il-mithala, read the example. Wakawwin jumalan ala ghirarihi, and then make sentences on its pattern. So where is the example? We can see over here, Muhammadun talibun, Muhammad is a student. Aminatu talibatun, Amina is a student. So Muhammad is masculine and Amina is feminine. So that's why we know that the subject mubtada'un and the predicate khabarun, they have to be equal. So we have masculine here and we have masculine here. And when we see here Aminatu is, we can see is feminine. The subject is feminine. That's why the khabar has to be feminine too. Now we have Hamidun tabibun. Hamid is a doctor. And now we want to say Fatima too. So we will say, okay, there is a question that why Aminatu and Fatimatu do not have tanween. Yes, does anyone remember why is that? We call it that this is basically a noun that belongs to the category which is called mamnu min as-sarf, or we say diptote or partially flexible. Yeah. So the names of the women, as we know, especially the Arabic women, they do not accept tanween. They only take dhamma or fatha. They do not accept tanween. So that's why we say Aminatu talibatun. So whenever you have the name of a woman, it should take only tanween. It should take only dhamma or fatha, and it cannot take tanween. Yeah, men's name, they can accept tanween, but there are some exceptions. Please refer to the lessons of basic grammatical concepts, and we have discussed in detail, like there are some names of the men, for example, the names of the prophets, with some exceptions. Names of the prophets do not accept tanween, and similarly, the masculine names that end with atta al-marbuta, like Talhatu and Hamzatu, they do not accept tanween, and similarly, the names of the men that end with alif and noon, like Imranu, Uthmanu, Salmanu, or Sulaimanu, they do not accept tanween. So it's not all the names of the men, but majority of the names of the men, you can say 90% of the names of the men, they accept tanween. So please refer back to the lesson. I think it's lesson number 5 of this series. And in that lesson, we have discussed in detail about the nouns that do not accept tanween. Wayyakum. So we have Fatimatu. So what do we say? Fatimatu tabibatun. Fatima is a doctor, as we can see over here. So subject and predicate, they have to be equal in gender and number. In gender and number. So gender is feminine and the predicate is feminine. Fatima is single and the khabar is also single. So they should be equal in two things, gender and number. Huwa Muslimun, he is a Muslim. So we have seen now that if you want to make feminine, what we have to do? we have to only add ta marbuta, and before that we have to put fatha. Please remember that this rounded ta only takes fatha before it. It only takes fatha before it. It never takes dhamma or kasra. It never takes dhamma or kasra. So we say here, muslimatun, excellent, female, female, perfect. Al-babu mughlaqun, the door is closed. An-nafidatu, as we see that it has ta marbuta, so it's feminine. So we will say an-nafidatu mughlaqatun, excellent. The window is closed. Al-mindilu wasikhun, the handkerchief is dirty. And al-yadu, what about al-yadu? What should I say? Al-yadu, wasikhatun or wasikhun? Wasikhatun, right, okay. Why wasikhatun? Why is that? Because we know that the human parts that come in dual, that are in pairs, like we have learned in the previous lesson, al-yad, wal-ain, wal-rijl, all of them, they are, no, these are the body parts that are in pair, they are feminine. Like udhunun, yadun, ainun, rijlun, yeah, they are all feminine. So that's why we say al-yadu wasikhatun. Excellent. Ashayu harun, tea is hot. And al-qahwatu harratun, yes, coffee is hot. So qahwa is feminine because it ends with marbuta in Arabic, and tea is masculine, and there is no reason why we should call it feminine. Al-masjidu ba'idun, the masjid is away, and al-madrasatu ba'idatun, excellent, al-madrasatu ba'idatun, the school is far, and we can see that we have to add the marbuta, and before that we have fatha, as we can see here. Al-talibu, student, the masculine student, we should say is sick, and then we say al-talibatu maridatun, excellent, al-talibatu maridatun, the female student is sick, and we have to put a line over here so that we know that this is subject and this is predicate, and we know that subject and predicate are equal in number and gender. Al-hisanu sari'un, the horse is fast, and we want to say the car is faster, or the car is fast, we say as-sayyaratu sari'atun, excellent, as-sayyaratu sari'atun, the car is fast. Al-qamaru jamilun, the moon is beautiful. What about ash-shams? What do we say? Ash-shamsu? Any ideas? Ash-shamsu jamilatun, okay. Why ash-shamsu jamilatun? Whereas qamar is beautiful and shams is also beautiful, but qamar we can see is masculine and shams is feminine. Why is it feminine? Does anyone remember? Yes, al-mu'annath as-sama'i, yeah, or we discussed that it is in the category where it comes in the category of the miscellaneous nouns, yeah, where the Arabs called them feminine, so we use them as feminine, like ardun, shamsun, and there are nouns. I gave you the list in the previous lesson, so inshallah you can memorize the list. Al-abu jalisun, the father is sitting, and al-ummu jalisatun, excellent, and the mother is sitting. So mother is feminine, that's why, and this is the real gender, and we know that the gender can be feminine when it is a real gender, when it has ta marbuta, and when the body parts that are in pairs. Excellent. Okay. Sahih al-jumala al-atiyata. Now we can see over here something unusual. Ha has two signs, right? It has sakin, the sign of sukun, and it has kasra. So is that a mistake? Like you see, it's not possible for one letter to carry two signs at the same time. So basically, the Sheikh is telling us over here that this is a command. It is fi'l al-amr, imperative, and we know that the imperative is always sakin, right? That's number one. We need to know that it is always sakin. Number two, when we want to connect it with al, so how do we connect it? We connect it with kasra. So that's why the Sheikh has beautifully told us about two things, that originally it is sakin, but if you want to connect it, then you have to connect it with kasra. So it will be sahihil jumal al-atiyata. And it's not possible that you end with the sakin and the next one is also sakin. It's not possible to pronounce them. we cannot pronounce two second letters together. So what do we have to do? We have to connect. And how do we connect? That we connect them. No, kasra is not for female. It is here, it's used for connecting. So we say, Sahihil Jumal al Atiyata. Connect. Yeah, we have the same rule in the Quran. Yeah, some exceptions are always there. And I told you that, like min, whenever we connect min with what? Do you remember? Min is sakin, but when we want to connect it with like al-kitab, so when we want to connect it, how do we connect it? Excellent, perfect, excellent. So min will be connected with fatha. So that is an exception. So we say min al-kitabi, min al-kitabi. But like 99% of the nouns, when we connect them with al, we connect with kasra, and this is an exception. Yeah, we can say Sahih al-Jumal al-Atiyata. That's possible. That's not a problem. But since our scope is to understand the Quran, so if we follow the same rules that we have over here, they will definitely help us when we are reciting the Quran. So it's better to read it as Sahih al-Jumal al-Atiyata. However, if you stop over here, it's not a big problem because this is not Quran. This is just modern standard Arabic. Okay, now we have to look at the mistakes. Haqibatu man hada. So there is a mistake. Where is the mistake? Can you please figure out? Whose bag is this? Haqiba. Is this masculine or feminine? It's feminine. So after that, the subject has to be also feminine. So we will say Haqibatu man hadihi. Whose bag is this? Okay. Because it has ta marbuta. Perfect. Then we have al-ghurfatu maftuhun. No, al-ghurfatu. There is a mistake. It should be al-ghurfatu maftuhatun. Excellent. Because ghurfa is feminine and the subject is feminine, so the predicate also has to be feminine. Mubtada is feminine and the khabar has to be feminine. Okay. Hada sayyaratu tabibi. This is the car of the doctor. So is this okay? Or should we make any change? Yeah, we should say هذه سيارة الطبيب. This is the car of the doctor. هذه مفتاح السيارة. هذه مفتاح السيارة. Miftah is masculine, right? So what should we use? We should say هذا مفتاح السيارة. Excellent. Okay. أين البقرة? Where is the cow? هو في الشارع. It is on the street or in the street. هو. Baqara is feminine, so what should we use? Here. Excellent. Very good. Here في الشارع. It is in the street. Okay. Iqra. Now here it is sakin. So when Hamza is sakin, we pronounce it with a small jerk. Like in the Quran, we have Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. So it will be Iqra waktub. Read and write. Ma'awith. And ma is a preposition. So what happens after the preposition? After the preposition, noun becomes majroor. Excellent. Iqra waktub ma'adabti. And now this is mudaf and mudaf ilayh. What should be the ending of mudaf ilayh? Kasra. As we know that the noun will take kasra for two reasons, or it will be majroor for two reasons when it comes after the preposition. So that is the first condition is met. And number two, when it is used as mudaf ilayh, and we can see that this is mudaf ilayh. So that's why it is also majroor. So ma dabti awakhir al-kalimati with the proper case endings. So we have to read now with the proper case endings. Hada li, as we know that li is a preposition which means belongs to. So we will say hada li Muhammadin. Excellent. Hada li Muhammadin. Wadhalika li Hamidin. Okay. Wadhalika li Hamidin. And please, the translation that we should get used to is it belongs to Muhammad and that belongs to, or this belongs to Muhammad and that belongs to Hamid. And let's try to use the word belong to because this is more comprehensive. It's not good to use for because when we use for, then the meaning is not very, powerful. So that's why we should use that belongs to. So هذا لمحمد وذلك لحامد liman. So we will say liman هذه. Liman هذه. Okay. So what about the ending of man? Do we need to change it? Liman hadihi, do we need to change it? The ending of man? Okay, we don't need to, all right. But what about, okay, but what about after liman? If after liman I have al-qalam, then what should I do? If I have al-qalamu after that? No, I wanted to know that. Yeah, we know that this is mabniyun, of course. But we say that this is mabniyun ala sukun. It is fixed with sakin, okay? But when you have liman, okay, now the problem is what happens now? When we say liman, so we noon is sakin and al is sakin. How will we read it? Limanil mulku al yawm, in the Quran we have limanil mulku al yawm. So what do we do now? Now we have to connect it with kasra, as I discussed earlier. Yeah, so we will say limanil qalamu. Whose pen is this? Limanil qalamu. Generally, we don't need to put kasra because there is no need. Liman hadhihi, there is no need. But whenever we have liman, let me make it clear over here. So whenever we have liman, and we know that it is sakin, but when we connect it with al, then what we have to do? We have to put kasra. So we say limanil qalamu, limanil qalamu, limanil mulku al yawm, limanil qalamu. So if you try to relate it, like when you're reciting the Quran, inshallah, it will be easier. So now you can see over here that when we have al with that, then again we have to connect it with kasra. Excellent. Okay, now here we have two beautiful, these are verses of the Quran as well. Alhamdu. Okay, so we will say Hadihi li yasirin. Excellent. Hadihi li yasirin. Perfect. And then we say Alhamdu and Lillahi. Alhamdulillahi. Perfect. So here, where is the subject and where is the predicate? Alhamdu is the subject, is mubtadaun, and Lillahi is the predicate, is khabarun. I want to test your knowledge now. Now here we have what? Lillahi, right? Lillahi. Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghribu. Okay. Now please tell me where is the subject and where is the predicate? Where is mubtadaun and where is khabarun? Excellent, Mariam. Yes, yes, perfect. So al-mashriqu wal-maghribu will be the subject. It will be the mubtadaun. And lillahi will be the predicate. It will be khabarun. Okay. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Because if you remember in the previous lesson, we discussed that jar majroor, whenever we have a prepositional phrase, it can never ever be subject. It will always be a predicate. It can take the place of subject. It can take the place over here, but it cannot be subject. It will always remain predicate. It will always be khabarun. Okay, now we have two beautiful verses of the Quran over here. The first one is Alhamdulillahi, as we can see over here. So Alhamdulillah is subject, Alhamdulillah is subject, and Lillahi is predicate. And here we have Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghribu. Okay, so will there be any change in the meaning? Okay, yeah, perfect. But will there be any change in the meaning? Yes, please remember. Why do we have this? Why the predicate has come first? It came for a reason. And reason number one, I'm telling you. No, reason number two. Reason number one, I told you that when there is a, for example, we have liman, so we know that man is a question word. So question word always comes in the beginning of the sentence. So we have to put it in the beginning of the sentence. That's reason number one. Reason number two, very, very important reason here. Please note it down. Whenever predicate comes first in the Quran, it comes for the purpose of emphasis, to make something specific and to make something emphatic. Yes, to make something emphatic and to make something emphasis. Something powerful. Okay. So what will be the translation of Lillahi al-mashriqu al-maghribu? In fact, I'm making a mistake. I should say Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghribu, because it's the Quran. So Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghrib. Okay, maghrib. When we stop, we say Lillahi al-mashriqu wal-maghrib, and there will be qalqala, as we know that. Okay. Now, the east and the west belong only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the translation will be only. So now we cannot say that east and west, or the east and the west belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will say, yes, excellent. We will say the east and the west belong only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is nothing for no reason, for like no reason in the Quran. So now the second reason that we know over here is that whenever we have jar and majroor, or the prepositional phrase, whenever it comes in the place of the subject, then it comes for the purpose of emphasis, to make something specific. So what meaning do we get now? The east and the west belong only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to anyone else. Not to anyone else. Okay. And now please check over here that we know that li is a preposition, and after that we have lafz al-jalala. Please remember that the hamza of lafz al-jalala is hamzatul wasl. It is what? Hamzatul wasl. Okay. And we know that when we connect it, we don't pronounce it. This is hamzatul wasl. When we connect it, we don't pronounce it. But here, this is a special case, as we can see over here. Here, whenever we have li with lafz al-jalala, then the hamza gets dropped. The hamza gets dropped. And when we drop hamza, then what happens? Now we have three lams over here. Lam 1, 2, and 3. And it's not possible in Arabic to have three letters which are the same to come together. So what happens? One lam gets dropped, or it gets assimilated, it gets merged, and then it becomes ilaihi, as we can see over here. So this is a special case, you can say, or this is basically for the linguistic reason. But if we are not able to understand like what linguistic reason that is, or the morphological reason, if we don't really know about that, then we only need to know that the hamza has been dropped, and one lam also has been dropped, and it becomes lillahi, as we can see in the Quran. Lillahi will be written like this. So please note it as well. To Allah alone belongs the east and west. Yeah, of course, it can be translated in that case as well. But as of now, I would say the best thing to do is to rely only on the authentic translations that we have from the translators. And inshallah, once we reach a stage where we are able to understand, please remember that our target is not to translate the Quran. No, this is the work of the ulama, those who have a very good knowledge of the language of tafsir, and also very good language of sarf, nahw, and balagha. So only we have to rely on them. Okay, now we have some examples of hadihi and some examples of the feminine from the Quran. So the first example that we have is hadihi tadhkiratun. So why do we have hadihi over here? Because tadhkiratun is feminine. And when you stop on this, you will say hadihi tadhkirah. Tadhkirah. So this time marbuta changes into ha. It becomes hadihi tadhkirah. This is a reminder. So now we can see over here, hadihi is subject and tadhkiratun is predicate. And we know that subject and predicate are equal in gender. So this is feminine and this is also feminine. Two things we need to know at least. Hadihi jahannamu. Okay, this is hell. So hadihi jahannamu. Now, Jahannam, please include it in the list because it's a special list. But as of now, we can see that the names of all the names of the hell that we have in the Quran, like Jahannamu, Jahimun, Saqar, all of them are feminine. So all the names of the hell that we have in the Quran, they are feminine. Okay, so number one is it is feminine, and number two, it is mamnu min as-sarf. Please check. It is mamnu min as-sarf. Now, as a student of the Quran and as a student of the language, whenever you look at a noun, you have to do the 4D analysis of the noun. What do you have to do? 4D analysis of the noun. 4 direction, right? 4D. What is that? We have to see the capacity. Is it indefinite or definite? So Jahannam is, of course, it's definite. Number two, is it masculine or feminine? So number one, we say that this is capacity. So the capacity is it's definite. C. Then we see the gender. So the gender is what? It is feminine. Then we have the number. Is it singular or plural? It is singular. So the number is singular. And then the status, is it marfu or mansub or majroor? It is marfu. And also we see the status that it is mamnu min as-sarf. It is mamnu min as-sarf. So C, G, and S. These are the 4 dimensions of a noun. And we have to know these 4 dimensions of every noun whenever you are going through a noun. So we need to know the capacity, if it is nakira or marifa. We need to know the gender, is it masculine or feminine? The number, is it single, dual, or plural? And the status, is it marfu, mansub, or majroor? And also we need to know if it is uh, flexible or partially flexible. Is this declinable or indeclinable? So we can see over here that this is feminine and this is indeclinable. It does not have tanween. هذه جهنم, this is hell. هذه سبيلي, sabil. Sabil is feminine. How do we know that it is feminine? In the previous lesson, I gave you the list that there are some nouns that are used as feminine in the Quran, and sabil is one of them. And li is basically my, so we haven't learned about it. So this is my way. So hadihi is feminine, and sabil is also feminine. And similarly, hadihi is singular, and sabil is also singular. Then we have hadihi naqatullahi, hadihi naqatullahi. This is the she camel of Allah. So now we can see, would you please, anyone write the 4D in here? Okay, yeah, so someone inshallah definitely will write. So hadihi naqatullahi, this is the she camel of Allah. Okay, naqa has only dhamma. Why is it only dhamma over here? Why not tanween? Yes, students, come on. Because this is the thing possessed, and this is the possessor, mudaf, mudaf ilaihi. And we know that mudaf is always right. Excellent. Okay. Okay, one more thing that I want to ask you. Here, this mushaf of the Quran, as you can see over here, this is the Madani mushaf, as we can see over here. So in the Madani mushaf, whenever we have, as you can see over here, hadihi, it will be written like this. Hadihi will be written like this, as we can see over here. However, if we talk about the mushaf that we have, like in the Middle East or in the subcontinent, so what happens over there? We have sitting kasra, as we can say. Sitting kasra we have over there. But in the mushaf that we have al Madinah al Munawwara, or in the Middle East, we don't have sitting kasra. Basically, what we have this ya, the symbol of ya over here. So that means we have to al-mad al-asli or al-mad al-tabi'i, and we have to prolong it for 2 seconds. هذه ناقة الله. So it will be like this. هذه سبيلي, هذه جهنم, and هذه تذكرة. And these are small details that we need to know because, like, some of the brothers and sisters, like we have, like, from Pakistan, India, and some other countries, and some of us, like, from the Middle East. So we need to know these small differences that we have in the Mus'haf. Brother Muhammad has a question. He says, is it recommended to read Al-Mus'haf al-Madina? If you are used to it, yes. But if not, then I would say first complete this course and then start Mus'haf al-Madina, because sometimes you might need to know the endings of the noun or the beginning of the noun, and we may not know it and we might make mistake. So as of now, I would say stick to the Mus'haf if you have, like, al-Mus'haf al-Uthmani that we have in the subcontinent. And if you get a very good hold of the Arabic language, or when you complete this course, after that, of course, you can use it. Al-Kalimatu al-Jadidatu, the new words. Al-Mikwatu, does anyone remember the meaning of al-Mikwah? Yes, please write it quickly. Iron, excellent. Ad-Darrajatu, bicycle. Okay, al-Mil'aqatu, spoon. Al-Qidru, yes. Al-Qidru, cooking pot, excellent. Okay, also we need to write al-Mikwah is feminine, al-Darraja is feminine, al-Mil'aqatu is feminine, al-Qidru is also feminine. Why is it feminine? We have learned in the previous lesson, because this is in the category of the feminine. Okay, al-Baqaratu, cow, the cow is also feminine. Al-Fallahu, farmer, feminine or masculine? Masculine. Okay, I want to say the feminine farmer. So what will I say? Al-Fallaha tu. Excellent. And then I change it into fatha. Okay. Al-Anfu, the nose. Al-Famu, the mouth, and we don't need to put ta marbuta. We cannot put ta marbuta over here because these are fixed nouns, okay? So please don't do that. Yeah, we don't have to put ta marbuta everywhere. We have to only put where it is possible. For example, the adjectives. With the adjectives, we can put ta marbuta. Al-udhunu. Udhunu is masculine or feminine? Okay, this is masculine. Okay, this is also masculine. What about al-udhunu? Ear. Is it masculine or feminine? It's feminine. Why is that? It's the body part in pairs. Okay, al-yadu. Hands. Is it masculine or feminine? Feminine. Okay, what if I talk about yadan, two hands? What about two hands? Two hands will also be feminine. Ar-rijlu. Ar-rijlu, the leg. Is it masculine or feminine? It's feminine because it is also in pairs. It is also in pairs. And this is also in pairs. Excellent. Ashayu, tea, masculine or feminine? It's masculine. Oh, there is no reason why we should make it feminine. Okay. Al-ummu, and the mother is feminine. And why is it feminine? Because it is the counterpart or the feminine counterpart of al-abu. Okay. As-thallajatu, the fridge. This is feminine because it has ta marbuta. Al-qahwatu is feminine because it has ta marbuta. Sari'un, fast. Is it masculine or feminine? Masculine because it does not have ta marbuta or any other reason. An-nafidatu is feminine because it has ta marbuta. And jiddan, okay, what about jiddan? Is it masculine or feminine? It's masculine, okay. Why do we have fathatan over here? Fathatan. We have fathatan over here because it is a zarf. Zarf means it is an adverb. What is it? An adverb. So adverbs are always mansoob. Adverbs in Arabic are always mansoob. So that's why we have learned over here. Jiddan is adverb. It's a zarf and it is mansoob. We have also learned another, we can say adverb, or that is basically maf'ul bihi. Aydan. Aydan is always mansoob. So these two are always mansoob. And inshallah, we will include in the category, and we need to write when we enhance our learning that it is a zarf and it is always mansoob. So alhamdulillah, we have Aidan means also. Aidan means also. So we have completed our lesson number 6. And inshallah, when we meet again, we will start with lesson number 7. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.